This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 20 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy, with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I am excited to say that I got my courtyard to the Gardner house finally completed. I'll say it's the best 750,000 gold I ever spent. So, you saw it, Grim. What did you think about it?
I think that it looks amazing. And the running joke is they don't call you Moneybucks Icy. The women don't call you Moneybucks Icy for nothing.
Yeah, but some of the guys do. So we got a special guest today. He's, I'm just going to say it. Kevduit, how you doing, man?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. What do we got on the docket today, Grim?
So I guess the first thing is, do we have any Icy anecdotals today? Do you have anything you want to add before we dive into Kevduit?
I guess in terms of Mythic Farming, I've got my Snow Treaders, my Ring of Wild Hunt, and my Torque of Tonal. And I just found out last week that when you're in the Antiquity dig site, you can actually have your scrying thing quick slotted and then just activate it while you're in the dig site, and it'll tell you exactly where the chest is located or the dig site's located. So I've just kind of found out about that and been running around the whole dig site areas looking for these chests on my own the whole time. And yeah, so just a little tip for anybody who just found out.
Yeah, that's smart. Just quick slot the scrying board or whatever it is, and it'll point you right to it. Otherwise, like you were doing, you're literally running around the dig site just looking for some glowing dirt piles and hoping that's it, right?
Yeah, and I can't believe that once I found out about it, dude, it makes it so easy to look for these dig sites. It's insane.
Yeah. So, have you had an opportunity to get any mythics yet, Kevduit? I know that you've got so many projects going on, from Valheim to Fallout 76, Cyberpunk 2077, Hitman 3, Fallout: The Frontier, Wolfenstein, Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, you're a busy man. Have you had a chance to get any mythics in the game?
I haven't. I really, really want to try for it, though. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Malakith's band would give you unlimited power.
I know, that's what I've heard. I'm like, dang, I gotta get back to that.
So let's talk about, when did you start creating content, and was ESO the first thing you started creating content? Can you tell us when that was? You were like, you know what, I want to make videos on YouTube.
So that would probably go back to the beginning of 2012, I think. And it wasn't even gaming. Lindsay Sterling, that dancing violinist, she kind of inspired me to sit down, play piano, and then go on to YouTube and then post my music, right? Because I was writing songs and stuff. That obviously went absolutely nowhere. And very soon after I started doing YouTube, yeah, it was awful. I started to notice how much gaming was picking up, specifically by a creator named Tobuscus, who was just this hilarious guy. And so I'm like, I'm gonna try doing some gaming content and see where that goes. And so Minecraft at the time was huge, and that would have been around 2012 October-ish, or actually September 3rd. I made my gaming channel, and then it was just all Minecraft content for pretty much 3.5 years. I just, it's the worst content I probably could have made. It was super sloppy, but it kind of taught me how to make content and, consistency, and you got to do it even if the going's tough. And then, yeah, it would have been end of 2015, or maybe beginning of 2015, when ESO beta kind of was I think it was kind of going into the full launch of the game. I decided, I'll hop into that right before the subscription of the game ended and it went sub-free. That's around the time I jumped into ESO. And then, yeah, it was insane. It just kind of took off like wildfire.
Yeah, your presentation and the way you approach your videos is just so unique and really, really fun. It makes you want to jump into the game and play. So I wanted to tip my hat to you on that. I love your content.
Well, thank you.
I think that is pretty cool though that Lindsay Sterling was one of your inspirations because like I have my Pandora playing all the time and one of the stations that I listen to like her music is always playing all the time, so I thought that was pretty interesting that you mentioned her name.
Yeah, it was crazy. She was super popular back then. I just remember everybody, everybody at school was always talking about Lindsay Sterling, this crazy dancing violinist, and then everybody wanted to do YouTubing after that point. So, yeah, it was crazy.
So you were doing the piano, but were you doing dancing piano?
I tried, but the piano just wouldn't, move with me. I tried to, strap it over my shoulders, but no. It was the most generic videos you'd ever seen. I put my camera on the side of the piano. That gorgeous ringing and tinging sound would hit the, the audio, and it just sounded terrible. It was, yeah.
I see these videos on YouTube of like the piano shops that have the piano sitting out in the, like in the mall or whatever, and
Yeah.
somebody comes up and just starts ripping on it. That's you, man. You should just walk up and just start,
Oh yeah.
yeah, set your hat out on the ground too. Let everybody fill it up.
That's the future, man. That's what I'm working towards.
Yeah. Goals. You said something with the content creating that I thought was pretty important, and it was like you look back at your starting videos and you're like they were crap or whatever. They weren't very good, but the most important thing is that you just got started.
Hmm.
You just go, you start, and you figure those things out along the way. Just get started. And a lot of people always think that, well, I'll get started after I do this, or after I do that, or I learn this, or I'm going to study this a little bit more. Just get started. Just start going, and you'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
So look where you're at right now, over what, 400, almost 500,000 subs, and you've got videos with 1.1 million views, almost 2 million views on some of your videos. So it's so impressive, and all because you just got started,
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. So ESO, I guess, Minecraft would have been your first game. Was ESO your second game, or were there games in between? Like, I noticed you have so many different games. I'm interested to see how that affects your algorithm too, as far as YouTube. They're probably so confused on, how do we send this out? But it seems to be working. But what other games right now can you think off the top of your head, or did I pretty much hit the list of them?
So way back when, kind of before ESO, I was just playing pretty much any new game that would come out. So like Minecraft was the main thing, right? Because that's where people found that fame and fortune. That was the gold mine. But I believe Far Cry 4 came out. Watch Dogs came out. Oh man, I can't even, maybe GTA 5 or GTA Online. Like just like a couple games here and there that I'm like, oh, this game is doing well. So I'd jump on that and make a couple videos. And my Far Cry 4 videos actually, for my channel size, they did pretty well. Some of them got like 10,000. One of them got like, I think it was like 60,000 views or something. It was something unreal. And it was blowing my mind back in the day. But yeah, when I started ESO, it was pretty much only ESO for like 3 or 4 years, and then every time I would try to do something else, it would just utterly fail. So I'd always fall back to ESO as kind of like my cushion. And then nowadays, yeah, like you said, it's just everything. The algorithm hates me, but for some reason, it's doing okay.
Yeah, I think it's impressive to have all these different games, and YouTube, it's working. Just keep it up. It's working. I have it a little bit farther down on my list, but while we're talking about content creating, we were talking about this just before we went on air, but you do every aspect of your content creating, from editing to thumbnails to everything. You handle everything right now?
I do indeed, yeah.
That is so impressive. So impressive, because like I said earlier, I don't even do a tenth of the editing that you do for your videos, and it's so cool and time consuming, so how much time does it take you to do like one?
It depends on the video for sure. Like those Cyberpunk, the grenade, beating the game with the grenades, and the psychopath ones, Psychopaths took me about 100 hours to record, edit, start to finish, and then the Grenade one took me about 55 hours from recording, editing, start to finish. So those ones are like, those are behemoths of videos, and those are the ones that's like, okay, I'm gonna go all out, whether or not this gets views or not. And then some videos will take, I think the shortest amount of time I'd put into a video would be like 15 hours of like editing and all that kind of stuff.
Can I just say, so when I was watching that Psychopath Cyberpunk one, I think I was probably 3-4 minutes into it, and I said, God damn, dude, this guy's editor is freaking insane with like just, and I thought, how is he even putting this video together? Does he just like script it out, or does like the editor provide everything for him and this and that and then whatever? And then I know we spoke about it briefly, and then you just say that, oh no, I do it all myself, and I was just like blown away, dude. Like that is freaking top notch, man. Like editing skills right there, dude.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So do you go into it with a storyboard? What's the thought process on that? Are you literally like, you just write down on a piece of paper, you're like, you know what? Let's beat this game with no armor and hand grenades and see what happens. And then you storyboard the rest of it out and edit it. How's that work? Could you give us a day in the life of creating that video, the grenades?
Yeah. So for that one, what I will do is I'm very much a fly by the seat of my pants sort of guy. Like I do my best writing like in my own mind at night when I'm tired, exhausted. I'm on my 5th cup of coffee and I have no idea what I'm writing down. I literally will record the whole game. So the whole recording, the grenade was about 20 hours of footage, I believe. So I had to cipher through like 20 hours of this. Like, okay, what do I want that's going to make this video not super boring or long? And then when I had all the footage, so I get it down to about an hour and a half from 20, and then I'll script that whole hour and a half, and then I'll put it all in. So then I'll record all the audio, and that way, like, it's almost like fresh ideas. So I see what happens. I can script out, oh, this would be funny here. So I'll pop that joke in there, and then I'll audio record the whole thing, put it in there, edit all of that. And then I'll be like, okay, so what are my least favorite parts? And then I'll edit all of them out and try to get the video as short as I possibly can, but not take away from, the challenge or the important parts of the video. So it's like, it's very, procedural and progressive. Like I really have to, think through, okay, what do I do to not waste time on this? Because it's already going to take a lot of time. And then usually it's the scripting that takes the longest out of all of it. It's just a very long process.
How necessary do you think the scripting is?
Oh, it is, it's the vital ticket, right? Like without a script that's, impactful, nobody's going to really want to watch the video, or it'll end up just meshing together with other videos, right? Like it has to be so personable. It has to be so, precise, and the jokes have to hit, right? Like I have jokes started at the beginning of the video that only, make their punchline 5 to 10 minutes later. And it needs to be very like well thought out. So it's a long process, to be fair. And half the time I'm like, I don't know if this is even funny. It's funny to me, but I don't know if anybody else will think it's funny. So it's like very, hit and miss with jokes and stuff, but super necessary.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm high-fiving you in the air right now because well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. One of the things that we were looking at too, I think everyone needs to know this as far as your accomplishments in Elder Scrolls or ESO, is you're one of the only people to ever survive a duel against Deltia and Cypher PK, and you fought them both at the same time.
I did. That was quite the fight to remember, for sure.
Yeah, absolute legend. So I'm surprised that they haven't erected like a statue or a memorial in, at that site where that happened.
I'm very surprised. They, I really feel I'm deserving of the
Yeah. So all these different games, you said you like to fly by the seat of your pants. Are you sitting down with a list of games in front of you that you want to play, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go through on my very first playthrough on this as I'm figuring things out, and let's just record and see what happens? Or do you play it through and then figure out some things, figure out the angles and how you'd like to package it, and then go back and revisit it? How's that work?
So with a lot of those videos, yeah, it's basically like take for example the Valheim video. That was like my first, couple of hours of experiencing the game. So I just, recorded that, edited it down, and then went from there. So I knew nothing. But if there's a game that I'm playing and I'm starting to play it and I'm recording it and I'm like, you know what, this video would be way funnier if I went back with the knowledge I know now and then did some things differently. So sometimes, I'll have like 4 hours of recording. I'll just toss it in the trash bin, start from the beginning, and then not really script it, but just do things differently. And that'll sometimes, like, I really want to make sure I'm putting the effort into the videos for them to be funny. Because if it's just kind of like, I'm just going to record whatever comes up and then, just kind of make an okay video. I feel like I'm not really, working my hardest and really, taking advantage of the opportunity I've been given to do this. So I really try to, pinpoint those important parts. And then, yeah, if I have to go back and redo stuff, or yeah, it's all good with me.
Yeah, I remember like in that basically Valheim video, you were like laughing and you said, at the beginning they had a disclaimer or something and it said watch out for falling trees, and you're like, well, at this point the only way I've died in the game is from falling trees, so there's that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
real quick on Valheim. So what do you think about it? Because I honestly just found out about it earlier this week, and a buddy was showing me the game and stuff, and it's kind of like Minecraft but with like a Viking spin on it, that type of
Yeah.
thing. And it
Oh.
seems like incredibly reliant on, like, to build a house you probably need to actually know how to build a house in real life, that type of thing.
So the game is, I can describe it nothing else than like a phenomenon. Honestly, it is like there's 5 guys made this, and I'm almost in disbelief because for an early access game to come out, usually when you see early access, you're like, okay, I'm going into a minefield here. Like everything's gonna go wrong. This game is it's almost a perfect video game. I don't know how to describe. Like if you like survival and like Zelda or Skyrim, you can play this game in so many different ways with so many different outcomes, and the worlds, like they're all procedurally generated. So and they're massive. They're absolutely ludicrously massive, and it's you chart your own maps, you place your pinpoints, and you have to learn about how to do everything. And there's some content that's like gate kept by, okay, if I don't like kill this boss, I can't get my pickaxe, so I gotta focus that if I want to get further in the game. They've done such an amazing job with it. Like it is unbelievably good.
Damn.
Yeah, recommend 10 out of 10.
yeah, we have a PvP guild, or we're in a PvP guild, and everybody is definitely on the Valheim train right now. They're loving it. They have a thread in their Discord and working together as a team or a community. It looks like it's pretty cool. I just haven't looked at the game yet. So outside of watching your video.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's such a good game.
Did you go to school for any of the stuff that you are using for your content creating right now? Did you have any type of pre-existing anything, or did you learn everything on the fly?
Yeah, I just kind of picked stuff up and fiddled around with it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And then to, get to where you're 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, that's amazing. So
crazy.
Yeah. What do you have plans right now, or are you just kind of living day by day, pick up the next game and let's put something funny together? What's the plans for the future?
Oh man, you were mentioning before, like if I had like schedules and like planning out videos and stuff, and if it weren't for my wife, I would just be, I just have absolutely no plan what I'm doing. But we sat down and we kind of like started to organize. Okay, like let's actually get on a bit of a track here so that we can push for more content and try to stay more on focus to get more videos out. And yeah, like for sure, when new games come out, I try to jump into them. And if I'm like, oh yeah, this was a lot of fun, or this was just ridiculous, I'll try to make it content like in some way, shape, or form. But for the most part, Valheim is looking pretty promising for content. And 76 back to ESO. Any plans for the future is just to I try to up my game with every video I make and just see see how much I can, put into them and where they can go. So it's just kind of, waiting for the train to come by and see which one I want to catch and then ride that for a while, see where it goes. It's very up in the air for the most part.
I think that works really well for you because most of the people aren't necessarily there for the content on the game, the particular game. Most of the people are there for your content, like what you're bringing to that game, right? Your delivery, your experience. And so that's the thing I noticed. Like for me, I could watch you and it didn't matter which game you were playing. It's hilarious. So I think that's the thing. I'm giving your wife a high five too. It's very cool that she supports you and what you're doing and helps you. It definitely takes a village to accomplish really cool things. So props to her.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the organized one. She understands all that stuff. I'm so bad with that. I know if she wasn't helping me schedule stuff, I would probably get so far behind in so many of my my projects.
I noticed, so like going back to ESO, well, number one, there's a big update coming and like the champion point system's getting changed and a lot of different changes are coming up. Maybe you could come back to ESO and do some champion point and new build videos. I noticed those were some of your most watched videos for ESO. Does that interest you?
It does. The thing is, so like when I was doing the build videos on YouTube, they actually did surprisingly well. I wasn't expecting people to want to watch the build videos in particular because I made very they were good. They weren't the best. They weren't the worst. They were just kind of my personal fun. And a lot of people enjoyed them, I think, for the humor aspect. But to come back and redo, some builds or dabble with the new stuff coming out, it interests me. I think though, like I made a website like a year or two ago, and I started uploading stuff to there, and things would do way better on the website. I don't know if people just like the written stuff down, and I would still write humor into my tutorials. Like I can't live without the humor. But yeah, it was interesting to see that people were so much more prone to go to the website than they were to my videos. And if I was to dabble around with new builds, it might be on the website again for sure. And then what I would do is on YouTube, I would have me just going ham on stuff with the build and just have it like, hilarious and then link back to the build on the site. I'm not sure. Maybe something like that.
I think that's the perfect recipe because I get a lot of people that ask me for written guides on the builds simply for the fact that, and here's what they say, this is straight from them. I can't watch the video and do the build in game at the same time. Do you have a written version of this build?
Yeah.
And so that's probably why you got more traffic for the actual build content on the website. Just
that makes sense. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, could you link me that content creator that you really liked back in the day? I'm interested to kind of see his delivery and pitch. Are there ever other favorite content creators like across all the different games that you really like right now?
Oh yeah. There's one guy in particular. He is, I think that his humor and comedic timing, everything about him is just one step above anybody else. And his name is Jerma. He's been streaming on Twitch, and all of a sudden his Twitch has been taking off. I was watching him play this game yesterday. Chocolatier or something. It's just like this old game in a not a full screen but widescreen mode. And it's just a point and click adventure where you make chocolate and you sell it, kind of like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. And I mean, like, nobody else on Twitch is streaming this, but he's got 11,000 people watching him, and he is the funniest guy. He just turns every situation into such a, I guess his audience calls it lore. It's his lore, but it's just every situation is such an entertaining moment when you're watching him. And yeah, no, he is probably the guy right now that when I'm watching him, like, oh man, like I want to take his joke so bad. Obviously, I'm not going to, but he is super, super funny and just inspires me to really push the boundaries of like my own, jokes and stuff like that. He's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'll have to check him out. I want to get a link to him at some point from you just so I can see him.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sounds good.
And what's that guy's name again?
His name is Jerma985.
Jerma, okay, yeah, because just listening to you talk about him, like, okay, this guy sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check him out too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Is there anything with ESO? Like, are there any changes to ESO in your time that you stop back in and kind of revisit the game? Is there anything that could be done in ESO that would help you create content for them? Like, what's your thoughts on ESO when you come in?
So when they brought that new arena into the game, I was super hyped because I loved Maelstrom Arena. Like I love that solo experience, and I mean I love it and I hate it. I hate it to death. Like stupid arena, but it's so fun. And the new arena was a lot of fun. And when I came back into the game, I literally hadn't played for months and months and months. Seriously on edge. Like it was ridiculous how long it had been since I played. And I just decided I'm just going to go in with whatever gear I've got, whatever skills I got. I'm just going to do this thing. And I'm pretty sure it was on normal. And I made a joke at the end of the video because I didn't think it was on normal. I thought it was on vet. And I'm like, oh, this is easy. And then I get to the end of it. I'm like, oh, that was normal.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Dude, are you serious? That's normal?
Yeah.
Because I think I know which video you're talking about, because I think Grim
Yeah.
linked it to me like a couple months ago, and I think I saw like the end game timer or something like somewhere throughout the video. It was like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, no way, dude.
Oh, it was so fun. It was such a good time. And the thing is, when it coming from like a content creator's like perspective, especially over the past couple years where my content has drastically shifted, especially with Fallout 76 from anything tutorial wise. I don't think I've done a tutorial on YouTube since week 1 of Fallout 76, and the tutorial did so horrendously bad that I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do goofy stuff and teach people through just me playing. And I'll just throw little tidbits in there of what I'm doing and see how that does. And so when I think about ESO and how I was pretty much only making tutorials on that game, but when I go back now, I like to just goof around in the new content and just see what I can see in the ways I can screw around, like just what can I do to make hilarious content, just goofing off and exploring this new stuff. And that's why the arena was so good to me. And why the Oblivion DLC coming out is just like it's just super gripping on me right now. I'm like, I really want to jump into that and see what I can do. So it's a lot of the content now, not even like balances or anything anymore. Maybe if there was like a weapon that was like ridiculously overpowered, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna abuse the heck out of that. Then I would go back in. But like it's all that new content, that fresh stuff that really, challenges you. It makes you just angry to no end, but in a good way. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for.
I would love to see you do an antiquities video, something kind of showcasing that process.
Oh yeah.
Drawing light to it. Oh, I think it would be hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, it would be pretty funny. But
Okay.
The thing about
I guess that's it. Grammy's gonna do it.
Yeah, you got me.
you throw it out there in the universe, and good things happen. So the thing about it is, a lot of people look at the whole process as a whole like a grind and very boring. But I have a feeling that you could package it and deliver it to us like this is the newest, greatest thing ever, and that would be awesome. So, So have you tried there's a new dungeon, Vatashran Hollows, a solo arena, not a dungeon, but a solo arena. Have you tried that?
That I believe is the one that I made the video on. That was the one that was just making me so angry, but in a good way.
Oh, right. That's right. Yep. That's funny. Yeah. Deltia just went through it, had, for the first time, didn't have any of the mechanics or anything, just jumped right in, and it was a eye-opening experience for him as well. So
yeah, that was I know there's so much new stuff going on, stuff I'd never seen in the game before in any other dungeon. I'm like, I'm so screwed.
do you keep in touch with previous content creators, or like earlier do devs from the games contact you? Like, do you network at all, or you just kind of do your thing?
I try my best to keep in contact with the people that, like in the YouTube space and Twitch space, you meet some people that are just genuinely good people, right? And you want to keep in touch with them. And sometimes it's very difficult. Like there are some people that are like just awesome people, but I haven't been able to talk to them in like the past like couple months just because they're so busy, I'm so busy, and it kind of sucks. But yeah, I do try to keep in contact with even a couple folks from the ESO community and the ESO days. They're always hopping in my streams, and if I'm like working on a video late at night and I'm like, I just need a Twitch stream, sometimes I'll hop into some Twitch streams that are just ESO streamers, just because it's kind of like one of those games you can just watch, but you don't have to be like so focused on watching that you can't do something else. And it's interesting to see, like, there's a couple people that we all talk and chat and send messages back and forth, but yeah, it can be a little bit difficult at times to keep up with everybody.
Yeah, I would imagine everybody's schedule and everything. I have to say, we had talked about this earlier, and I probably missed my chance to talk about it, but your Wolfenstein, you force yourself to play Wolfenstein VR.
Yeah.
There's a point in that you're recording where the game's going on, there's people fighting or whatever, and you notice that there's a toy dog sitting on and you pick up the toy dog, and then you notice there's a little toy guy, and then you're like playing with them, making them fight. And I was laughing so hard during that moment. It's just funny how you're looking around, and even to the point where you pick up the needle, like there's all these things you're supposed to construct something, and you're like, who needs this? And you throw this part away, and you grab the needle, stick it in yourself. You're like, how does this work? It's just hilarious watching you fiddle around in those games.
Yeah, those games are you know what? VR might be where I can really peak with content, because there's so much you can't do as a content creator when you're just playing a video game, right? Because like and there's a story about that a little bit more. So like people can take your footage and then you could just slap your voice on it and pretend like it's your footage, right? Like there's not that incredible amount of interaction that makes it a very personal video to your channel. And the VR stuff, it kind of breaks down that border, and you're able to like I try to go on camera as much as I can, especially when I'm streaming, but people see me picking up the toys and I hate you, bang, like it's that kind of stuff that you can do in VR that you can't really always do in other games, and it's almost like a whole new level of content, and it's a whole new level of fun.
Yeah, that definitely had me LOLing. It was pretty darn funny. Yeah.
How's VR in general? Because when I was watching the Wolfenstein one, I felt like myself, like, oh man, this looks like I'd be getting like dizzy real quick doing this kind of thing. How like is it? Do you get like any nausea or anything? Just like trying to keep up with the camera and stuff.
Oh yeah. It depends on the game. Surprisingly enough, Wolfenstein VR is one of the most optimized VR games I've ever played. It was actually so smooth. I think it's a different experience, obviously, when you're in it versus watching it, but it was so smooth. Like, I didn't even get sick at all. And that was the same with Half-Life Alyx, which is my favorite VR game. It's the most incredible VR experience you can have. You don't get sick. I think I played it for 9 hours straight, and I didn't even, like, feel it. But Doom VR, no, that was bad. I think I played it for 2, maybe 3 hours. I stopped the stream when I beat the game. I went upstairs. I laid on the couch for 2 hours. I was just so sick. I was just like, I can't move. Like, if I move, it's gonna be awful.
Damn, that sounds rough.
Depends on the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So your content on the VR, you think that's the future then? And they've got a lot of how many titles have you played total in the VR realm?
I think I've got maybe 10 different VR games, and like I don't always like to call it the future would be like it'd be difficult because it's such an expensive device and you have to get a good one to really unlock its full potential. But some of those VR experiences can create the most incredible footage. I mean, there's a guy named Slimesicle on YouTube, and he beat Skyrim in VR, but with like 500 mods installed, which I don't even know how he did that because my regular Skyrim is dying with like 200. So it's incredible that he got 500 working. But the video is just something else. It's just very imaginative. It's got so much going on and so much like that, it's in VR first of all, and then you got the mods and it's still Skyrim. But it's definitely, if you can make VR videos, they can be some of the funniest experiences, and people really want to, check that stuff out, right?
Yeah. So if ESO had a VR mode, like when you enter Cyrodiil, it goes into VR mode, and you put this on, and you're actually holding your shield up and fighting. Would you play that?
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee you I would probably fall on my face if I did a gap closer, but it would be, yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I could imagine that VR ESO. All right, so if the devs are watching, you guys got your work cut out for you. VR Cyrodiil. That's how we
see
save
it.
Cyrodiil. Yeah.
You said you got a bunch of VR games. Do you have Beat Saber by chance?
Oh yeah, you have to have Beat Saber if you have VR.
Nice. Did you what is it that people do? Do they just like tie their controllers together to make like a Darth Maul saber?
Can you do that?
I think there's I was gonna say there's a dad on YouTube who does that, and he's got this pretty good video of him just he's playing one of the Eminem songs to it while he's got the Darth Maul like saber going. It's pretty good. He does a really good job too. It's pretty cool.
That's funny. Yeah, I know there's a couple mods that you can have different stuff. I know I have the Daedric swords from Skyrim, but yeah, that's one of the best VR experiences out there. Like, you have to play it if you get VR.
Nice, that's awesome, dude.
So what's your favorite class in ESO? What's your favorite characters?
Oh, absolutely Stamina Nightblade. Like, Stamina Nightblade was my first ever created character in the game. That's Kevduit. And there's so many memories wrapped up in that character. And they, you know what? We've been, nerfed and we've been buffed, and you know what? Through it all, the people either complaining or praising it, I just love the class. It's such a fun class to play, and I probably have, 98% of my time in that one character, and I've got a full, eight fully leveled characters. But the Stamina Nightblade, man, there's something out. It just hits different.
Yeah. What's your favorite video of all time? Whether it's like creating it or one that do you go back and you just watch again and you sit there laughing at it?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. There's a couple videos, and some of them don't even have a whole lot of views on them, but they just like hold a special place in my heart. A lot of the ones with Cindy that Cindy and I have done, we did a Destiny 2 video, and that one, I just think it's the funniest video ever. I think it got maybe like 25,000 views or something, which is still awesome. But it was such like it was just like a her and me video. And there's a Far Cry 5 one we did as well. And that one, I don't know, just when I'm playing with buddies, I think it's all about like more for memories for me, other than like, oh, this video is actually the funniest. It's just, those were good times. And I think if I was to choose one of my own personal videos that I really enjoyed creating, it might have been the Outer Worlds Psychopath video. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. See, I think that's good for people. If I have a feeling that everyone that is here listening right now, they're here because they know who you are. But if by chance somebody doesn't know, say they're coming from the ESO community,
Yeah.
and that way you could kind of steer them towards your content. And if those are the videos to watch, to give them a good taste. I know what you were talking about too, when you say, I have a video and it didn't get a lot of views, but it has a special place in your heart. I have that. Actually, it was on Kratos, Ghost of Sparta Kratos, for Mid-Year Mayhem of last year. It's one of my favorite videos because I like the music, and there are moments that showcase how extremely powerful or durable the build is. And so I just love that. I could watch it, and it only has like 400 views, but I love the video. So
that's what matters, right?
Yeah, I think so. It like speaks to you. What's your favorite video of yourself, Icy?
I think I like my lockpicking video only because I did a funny bit that I scripted with Emma, and that's probably my favorite moment in that video. Otherwise, it's just educational or informational. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a bunch of trolls or people that hound you regularly on your videos? I have a feeling with your pitch or your presentation style, it's hard to take digs at you too much. Like the way you present yourself it's all for fun, all for entertainment value. But do you have trolls?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't think any content creator can go too long without having a couple people, heckle them. And I think it's mostly my appearance that people like go at. And it's funny because my wife thinks I look handsome, my handsome boy, so I just go with that. And if somebody thinks I don't look attracted to them or whatever, they'll, hey, your forehead's so big I could land an airplane on it, or they're like, yeah, you just like put a mop on your chin for a beard or whatever, and people will go at me all the time. And
Jesus Christ,
oh,
dude.
it's funny though, dude. Like it's funny because when you can like really let go of a lot of that criticism, even in like my voice and stuff, a lot of people criticize my voice, like, "Oh, that guy sounds like an idiot," or like, "Stop yelling," when I have just like a naturally booming voice. I just kind of embrace how I was created and just go forth from there. And if people want to take digs at me, usually if they take digs at me, they are welcoming it back. So I'll take digs back at them on occasion if I'm feeling a little feisty or whatever. I'm like, this guy deserves it. But yeah, I just kind of try to look past it because life's too short to focus more on the trolls than the positive people that are like, "Hey, I like this video," right? I'm like, "Hey, thank you," and I try to like, not allow the negativity to get me down because, oh man, it is so easy to allow them to just beat you to the curb, and if you allow that to happen, you're like second guessing your content, and it just like it can affect everything you do.
Yeah, I totally agree. At the end of the day, happy wife, happy life. And if she's happy with you, and that's the only person that matters, really. So
Yeah,
there's that.
yeah, sure.
So, did you have any questions for him, Icy? Oh, I did have some other questions, but what do you got, Icy?
I was, because I know you said that you play a bunch of video games, and I know for me personally, I think about, Elder Scrolls Online, Destiny, Warframe, like those types of games where they just require so much. Well, it's not like they require commitment, but there's just such a long journey with those types of games because you start from the beginning and then you kind of build up to the end game, and then there's so much to do, at that point in time. How
Right.
do you? Because I was trying to just like rationalize it, based on how you were talking earlier. But I guess you could just kind of jump to one game, play it for X amount of time, then create some content, then you're good. But I just feel like if I was gonna switch to any other game, I'd be kind of falling back, or I'd be missing out on ESO. And then,
Right.
well, if I like this game too much, like, what do I do? Do I just keep cycling back and forth? So, like, what is my question to you? Yeah, can you figure out a question out of what I just said and then answer it?
I can kind of see where you're going at. Yeah, so back when I was playing ESO, if you took like a week off, you'd fall behind. Like it was just ridiculous. It felt like it was so there's a lot of pressure from guilds, and that's why I left a lot of guilds because I was like, I don't want to feel like, when I pick up ESO, I don't want to feel like I'm picking up a vacuum to clean my living room. This isn't a chore. This is supposed to be my fun time. And you know what? It was also my job, so I wanted to take it seriously and not turn it into a chore in that regard either. And so when I'm playing and jumping around from game to game, for example, like I jump from Fallout to Assassin's Creed Valhalla to Valheim to Cyberpunk to Immortals Phoenix, Watch Dogs, you got all these different games that it can really dissuade you from your main grinding games, your Warframes and Destinies and ESOs. And I think for me, it kind of came to a point where when I was kind of dipping out of ESO a little bit more, and not that I didn't like the game. In fact, ESO is still one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. I think to me, I was starting to realize it was almost a bit of an addiction in a way that if I felt like I couldn't leave, because like almost a ball and chain, I didn't feel like that was a very healthy mentality to have, and I wanted to play it much more casually. And that's just from my perspective, because I feel like if you're playing ESO or Warframe or Destiny, you're playing those games, right? Those are the games that have your attention. You want to grind and get better at them. And then for me, I felt like it was holding me back from like really reaching more potential on YouTube. because I wasn't hitting multiple audiences. I was hitting my one main audience, and I want to entertain, everyone. I want everybody to laugh. I want everybody to smile. So it was a tough decision to kind of put down ESO and take it a little bit more slowly and casually, but it did help me to jump into these other games occasionally and play for 10, 20 hours and then jump back into Fallout or back into ESO.
Yeah. See, I think that's smart. Like, you're preaching a healthier lifestyle, right? Like, if you're addicted to this game and you have to log in, you have to do this, you have to do that. That's really smart. Some people actually view it as like a routine or stability in their life too. I know that. Like, I want to log in and feed my horses. I want to log in and do my writs or whatever it is. Some people. So it's interesting. At what point, like, are they not doing the dishes at home and instead they're logging in and feeding their horse and doing stuff? So in that moment, it gets to be not a good scenario.
Yeah.
Do you have advice? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's bad when you're driving to work and you think to yourself, shoot, did somebody leave the fire pit on?
Yeah.
You wonder how you're driving to work and you're wondering how the person at your house is doing in creating your backyard living space that you hired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, she's totally trustworthy. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah.
Do you have advice for content creators as far as tips and tricks? If you were meeting a new content creator right now and you wanted to give them advice, like, focus on this and focus on these skills, what would the advice be to content creators?
Man, it's after a lot of years, I think I've been doing this for 9 years almost. And it's funny because it always changes, but I've kind of nailed down two things. And it's kind of road less traveled to road more traveled sort of situation. And it's kind of sucky because one way you go the route that you're going to be the most happy. Because when you start creating content, I never recommend that you just go ham in the direction of popularity and fame and money and all that kind of stuff, because it's not going to satisfy you, first of all, because if you go that way, nothing is ever going to be enough. But if you really ground yourself and be like, this actually makes me happy, it's like fun, right? It's a great time, and you go that direction, it might be a slow grind, but you can take it from me. It took me 3.5 years for anybody to notice me. I had to plug away every day and just, I'd see like other YouTubers just all of a sudden explode beside me, and they'd been, nobody, and all of a sudden they were that big YouTuber. And it's hard, right? But I was happy creating the exact content I was and not, trying just to go for that big boom. And you know what? If you put the time in and the energy, if you really are dedicated to it and you just want to have a good time and give everybody else a good time, you're going to find your audience. I think in the end, you're going to be so much more happy you went the route of making your channel about, people being there for, for your content and your humor, your jokes, your whatever, your personality. Because at that point, you've created, yourself online instead of just another Call of Duty streamer, right? You've made yourself into what would you call it? An icon, a figure, I guess. And that's the best way to grow your channel. You really learn how to embrace who you are and then exert that through your content you make.
I totally agree with that, and you've done that so well. You've done that better than most people that I've seen. Almost everyone I've seen like made it your content, so I'm applauding you there.
Thank you.
Has any sponsors or brands reached out to you? Have they contacted you to partner with you in some way?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've there's like a lot of like companies that'll contact me, but it's like with their like indie games and stuff like that. And typically it's difficult for me to focus on like an indie game that isn't already, like Valheim, like blowing up and stuff like that. But I was approached by Elgato and they they sent me a bunch of cool products and stuff, and so I use a lot of their stuff, and it's interesting to see like there's just like a point where if a video of yours does really well, typically somebody will reach out in contact. And so like for me right now, I'm in Ubisoft's content creator program, and so when new games come out, I kind of get like I get a look at them, or I get to play them, and it's a really fun experience to be able to have these companies contact you and say, hey, try out this game or whatever, and it happens every once in a while.
That's very cool. I was going to ask if game developers or content creator or game companies contact you and say, hey, would you do a piece on this game? I kind of wondered if that was a thing.
Oh yeah, and it's always fun. And like a lot of these companies they have really good PR and really good people like kind of going around and contacting you, and they're always very friendly, I've noticed, so it's good.
Have you had a gaming company contact you and say, hey, I don't think you represented us in the best possible light?
Luckily no. I think whenever if I did like a sponsored content, because I've done a couple advertisements for Raid, and I always put 110% effort into my advertisements, because I'm like, you know what, people don't particularly like sponsors. They just don't. There's like this, even if I put as many jokes and whatever into it, and I just really go ham on making it fun, people will just always hate it, right? And so I try to make the best possible content for sponsors when they come my way, so that I'm like, and then I'll always give them a draft and be like, okay, what do you think of this? I believe this is what my audience will most likely enjoy. And so I always check with them before I do anything,
Yeah, that's smart. I could see how a game would be like, well, number one, I would hope that they'd be smart enough to realize that what your product is, how it's going to be wrapped in humor, right? So
right.
If a gaming company is going to reach out to you and say, hey, could you do a video on us? Hopefully they know enough about you to know that that's what you're going to do, stick to what you're really good at. But I just kind of wondered, did you ever do a video on a game and then send it back to them, and they're like, yeah, well, you showed like 3 glitches in our game, like, what was it, Cyberpunk 2077? You were like running around punching people, and you're like, and I was gonna kill her, but when I realized that she bent her body into a weird way, I decided to let her be. And it was the NPC that her arms like bending backwards and aiming through her and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that when it came to Cyberpunk, I wasn't, I wasn't in cahoots with CD Projekt. I love The Witcher 3. I liked Cyberpunk. It wasn't what I expected it to be, but when it comes down to like creating content, and when you're not sponsored, and when you're not, they didn't reach out to you, like everything's on the table. Like you can poke as much fun at the game as possible, but I typically try to do it in a tasteful way that's not like I show something and I'm like, this is why I hate this game, like I try to, like, if something's glitching out, I try to just present it in a really fun way that's content and funny, but it doesn't make people super angry, just hate the game. That was like, even with ESO a couple years back, when ESO was getting like fixing some stuff, there were some glitches going on, and I tried to show them in tasteful ways that it brought light to them, but it also was just funny and wouldn't make people upset about them, and they would get fixed within the month or whatever. But yeah, it's always about I guess properly addressing if somebody's like reaching out to you for you to do something, you want to make sure you put your effort into it and make sure you're not going against what they kind of expect.
Yeah, that's so smart. Like, I guess a good example was that lady that we talked about. And then in the same video, weren't you driving a car at one point and you jump out of the car, and then you're like, and then apparently the car wants to take on a sentient, form, and the car's like flipping around and hitting people and doing its own thing. And you're just watching it like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that game. Sometimes I like the fact that it was so buggy. I mean, it kind of sucks that a lot of people couldn't even play it, but I got some laughs out of it.
Yeah, you were driving a car at one point too, and there was a guy standing up, like flipping through the roof of the car, right? A passenger, and you couldn't shake him. That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I like when you say things like, "Yeah, then I found this vacant car," and you're clearly like pulling somebody out of the car and throwing them on the floor.
Yeah, no, it's funny because when I make those videos, I really try to like, enter that dark part of my mind that's not offensive, but just like, what would a psychopath be thinking in this situation? Like they have no regard for human life, so they're just gonna try to play off every situation as if they're not the problem, everybody else is. So you kind of like take the situation and just bend it totally. Because if you weren't watching it, but you were listening to it, you would be looking at and seeing, hearing two totally different things, right? But when you watch the video and you see me, I just found a vacant car pulling somebody out of it, you're like, wait a minute.
Right.
I'd like to see like a therapist reacts or like a psychologist reacts to Kevduit Psychopath video, and like just if they've never seen any of your content, what's their like impressions of this particular video?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put a little camera up in the top right-hand corner with their reactions.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of a video. I forgot who did the video, but it was Summit. Summit was playing ESO, and in the top right-hand corner, the content creator put ZeniMax Online Studio Live camera, and it was a guy laughing just hysterically at everything that Summit was going through. Like he just kept dying over and over again. I think he was in Imperial City Prison dungeon, and he was dying to things and complaining. And the camera just had this person, laughing over and over again at all of his complaining. I thought that was hilarious. Really interesting to get into the mind of certain content creators and see how do they get to that creative point where they're like, you know what, let's do this. So,
Oh yeah, it's so many people have so many different takes on the games that like ESO. When ESO is visited by like folks like Shroud or Summit, it's so interesting to see how they are interpreting it versus like the creators that are currently making content on the game. Always interesting.
yeah. What's your favorite aspect of ESO? PvP, PvE? What do you like doing?
Oh, I think it's always trading off because like there will be times when I'm like, I just want to play Battlegrounds all day long, or I want to go into the Imperial City and just gank a bunch of nerds that have no idea what's going on. But at the end of the day, I think the PvE is probably my favorite in the game. Like, not that I don't like the PvP stuff, I enjoyed a lot, but there's something about the PvE content. There's so much there. And so many good stories. I know a lot of people like, get into a conversation. They're like, all right, just mash spacebar to get through this. But the stories told and just the adventures you can have. And it's so good. I love PV and the dungeons, man, the trials. They've done such a good job with like an Elder Scrolls MMO. Like I couldn't imagine a more well, designed game that's just so fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, here's a request for you. Next patch, would you do a battleground with me, Icy, and Deltia, and we don't use weapons. We just run around and punch people in the battlegrounds.
Absolutely. I'm down. Absolutely.
That'll be great. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm so in.
That'll be great. Did you have what do you got for him, Icy? You got anything else?
When you mentioned the unarmed combat thing, I was thinking about the thing that we had talked about it several months ago about recreating like the what was it like Mayweather, like either Mayweather and Pacquiao or Tyson and was it Roy Jones fight?
Yeah.
And we get a guy to be referee, and so like we're just in the Nordic bath towels playing as like red guards and stuff, and we're just kind of just like we're just like kind of shadow boxing each other because we're on the same team, just in the middle of the whole fighting and stuff, and just see how people react and stuff. I think it would have been a hilarious idea.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I've got some. So I have a build. It's under my Hulk Smash video. It's got 3 different builds, but the very last build in that is a 7600 health recovery build. And so I told Icy, let's put that build together and go into Battlegrounds and just punch people all day. You know, 7,600 recovery is a lot. You know.
Oh yeah, that's a ton.
Yeah. So 7,600 health recovery coming in every 2 seconds. We almost don't even need to use abilities. So
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
yeah, I made a low level video and I just went into a battleground and had no weapons and just ran around. Is there no one else? And I were kind of talking about it. I think it was probably before we were recording, but I said, I think I could probably go into a battleground with no weapons and maybe not die and maybe even kill some people. And I'm pretty sure it was him, but he was like, no way. And I was like, no, I think I can. And then in the Biden video, I did it. You know, I just went in with no weapons and went around, got some kills, never got killed, and had some really funny clips in that. But I laughed the whole time I was making that video.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's the do you ever put kind of trolley builds together? Like, I know you said I'm just going to put a bunch of random abilities on my character and see what happens. Have you ever specifically put a build together and you're like, this is going to be the most troll thing ever, let's do it?
Oh yeah. I actually I guess 3 videos I remember. There's 2 are speed builds. Right before they nerfed speed in the game, I was hitting the absolute fastest speed you could go in the game. And I took those builds into Cyrodiil and I just chased Zergs around. I didn't even hit him. I just chased him because the build is so useless damage-wise. But man, I was outrunning people on their horses. I was just booking it circles around EP and AD just like they were nothing. So funny. And they couldn't even hit me. Like they would gap close me, I would dodge roll and then book it out and they couldn't even catch me. It was super fun. Those were some of my favorite videos I made, I think.
Yeah, you'll really love the Ring of the Wild Hunt. Then it gives you, like, if you don't change the trait on it, you get plus 52% movement speed. Just
Oh, yes. I might have to go back and revisit this game now.
yeah, that, and I guess you could run the set Cowards set
Yep.
that gives you major protection while you're sprinting. So that'd be awesome.
Man, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I think Icy had in design, he had kind of a trolley. What was your Juggernaut build, Icy? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I think it was the Juggernaut build. Yeah, so it would be either like a gigantic. I guess you could either do, you know, like a Hulk Juggernaut or just a regular Juggernaut, and he'd be the tallest Nord or the tallest Orc that you can get. And the funny part is, I think there's an actual helmet that looks like the Juggernaut helmet from. I'm trying to think which X-Men movie it was. It was,
Deadpool, right?
yeah, I think it was the one with Deadpool. Yeah. So that you could use that helmet in the game, and yeah, I think it was like Cowards with what's that set that when you roll dodge you knock people back?
You knock them down or knock them up in the air. Morhaus?
Uh,
Oh,
I
I know what you're
think
talking about.
I feel like it's Eternal. Well, there's one where you roll dodge and you leave like a trap or something. But it'd be the one where you.
Yes, I know exactly. I can't remember now. Eternal Hunt.
Yeah, Eternal Hunt does the one with the trap on the ground, and Morhaus does the one where you dodge roll and it knocks people down like you're a bowling ball.
Yeah, so the objective would just be to kind of like, you're just coming in like super hot, like unstoppable, and you pop an immovable potion or whatever, and then you just kind of either roll dodge, through groups and stuff, and just keep running past, or if you're on your sword and board, just hit them with the reverberating bash, as you're just like, steamrolling through everybody and unable to be stopped, and then you just kind of, similar to the Flash, you run around the world, and then just like make a big loop or something, and come back and hit them on the other side, and you're just running through them and knocking them down and stuff. But this was all theoretical in design, never actually implemented it. But I think if somebody was gonna do something like that, I think you would be the guy.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I totally picture you doing that build. And then at the bottom, instead of having like a stamina bar, health bar, it's actually 10 frames from a bowling alley. You're just keeping track, ooh, got a spare. We got all of them knocked down, oh, got 3 right there. Let's put a 3 in. Oh, picked up a spare. Or we got them all. Here's a strike. I think that would be funny to, no more actual ESO HUD. But
That would be hilarious. That would be so funny.
no. Well, did you have any questions for us? I do want to figure out all the different ways people can find you, but did you have any questions for us?
I was gonna ask. I know I've actually listened to a couple of your podcasts because I still follow the ESO community very close. I was gonna ask, how long have you guys been running for? Because you said it was the 20th episode, if I'm correct.
Yes, number 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually started my YouTube channel only a year ago, and it wasn't really for the ESO content. I mean, I was playing ESO and having a lot of fun doing PvP, but I like train and manage professional fighters that compete in Bellator and the UFC and bare knuckle boxing. And YouTube is basically we were teaching the athletes to post videos on their Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to increase their viral reach, increase their name recognition. But
Oh.
at the end of the day, Facebook is not going to pay that athlete when they post that video there. YouTube will. And so I've been talking to all the different fighters and athletes about creating an official fan page for them on YouTube. And whenever they do interviews, they can get those interviews, and they have content for their channel. So some of the content's created organically by other content an interview, a podcast, backstage at an event, and then they could kind of graduate into creating a YouTube membership program where if you want access to backstage at UFC or Bellator or whatever, and they're recording while they're getting ready, or they can pass the phone to one of their trainers, and the trainer can have the phone on, and you could basically be up on the catwalk walking to the cage and experience it. And so selling that experience to your true fans. Anyways, how that works and how the merchandising works for athletes once you're able to monetize the channel interested me. So this whole thing has more so been for me learning that aspect of it. And the podcast came in. We're going to have a podcast studio at this gym location we're opening, so I can continue to do podcasts. But I wanted to learn how to establish multiple revenue streams. I didn't want to just teach athletes this without actually living it and learning it. How do you grow and scale a YouTube channel? And so that's why I'm here. So
Wow, that's awesome. And what about you, Icy?
Let's see. I think I made my YouTube channel 10, 15, I don't even know, a long time ago, but I never really did any content. I did like a couple Destiny videos here and there, nothing special. They were just like my Crucible matches or something which I remember watching a couple months ago. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? Like with these lame, cringy titles, And then I think after I met Grim last year, then once he got his YouTube channel going, I was like, all right, maybe I can, corner the support market for PvP or something in like the Imperial Sewers, and so I started making some content and stuff. But I'm way more, I guess, relaxed about it. Not that I wish I made more content, because obviously, it's my decision, but I just get in the trap of just loving to play the game so much, and that it kind of just pulls me more in that direction over making videos and stuff, which I have a bunch of videos lined up, but they're all kind of like scripted and everything. I just got to get down to actually recording them and doing all that stuff. But yeah, that's kind of my story.
Okay, that's awesome, man. UFCs and Imperial City Sewers.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's super
That's
cool.
that's my differentiating value proposition. I don't have your looks, I don't have your humor, so I gotta go with what works for me.
That is awesome. No, I was really enjoyed listening to all that. That is awesome.
Can I just say that your like avatar icon is extremely attractive, which I don't know why.
Oh man, yeah, I had that done for me. I think it was a year or two ago, and I'm gonna be honest. I wish I looked that good.
It's awesome. Yeah, whoever did that for you, they did a really good job with it. So
Shout out to you, Cross.
so what's all the different ways people can reach you right now?
Oh man. Well, obviously YouTube and Twitch are my two kind of content creating, platforms, but I'm trying to grow Instagram a bit more. And I try to post there, just kind of funny clips for, just to kind of hopefully put a smile on your face every other day. And yeah, and then kevduit.com is my website, and if you guys are looking for guides or reviews or just, I just post, funny thoughts and stuff. That's another place you could go to.
That's awesome. Do you have a Patreon account or a tip jar or anything like that? I want to add all these links to the descriptions of the video.
Oh, yeah. So funny story. I used to have a Patreon and stuff, but I felt like I couldn't give, anything I could give always ended up being like it not really exciting. So what I've done is I've put a lot of, effort into Twitch, and, if people are wanting to support me, they can support me by being a sub over on Twitch. It's way cheaper. I get a larger cut than Patreon would give me. And then you also get a ton of cool emotes. You get an ad-free experience, all that kind of stuff over there. And I feel like I can offer a lot more bang for your buck over on Twitch.
That's awesome.
Wait, so you actually get a bigger cut at Twitch than over Patreon?
Yeah, I think I was looking at some of the different, stats and stuff, and I could be wrong, but as a partner on Twitch, you get a pretty good split. So I was just going to be like, well, you know what? I think I'll focus all my energy onto Twitch instead of also managing a Patreon at the same time. And then I feel like people will be much more readily able to find my Twitch over Patreon. I don't know. It's just my thought process.
Okay, yeah, that's new information. I didn't even realize it. Okay.
How often do you what's your schedule for Twitch? How often do you stream over there?
I'll be probably streaming at least 2 to 3 times a week. I'm trying to get on a better schedule with that. I've totally fallen out of that, but typically it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll be live.
That's awesome. So is this your full-time gig? This is your full-time job?
Yep, it sure is.
That is awesome. What a life.
I love it, man. I'm so blessed.
I think that's everything. So we're going to get the link to his YouTube. We're going to get the link to his Twitch. What about merchandise? Do you have merchandise available?
I just pulled all my merch because I'm redesigning it all, like with new logos and stuff. So that'll probably be out, I would say, mid-March.
Awesome. If you need help with any of that, let me know. I have a lot of connections. So.
Oh, sweet.
I guess that's everything. What do you got, Icy? I think we're probably there at the end.
I think so. Any final remarks before we close out?
Well, we can't just end it like this.